There is a man in your life who already knows what you are going to do before you do it. You have always felt it when he looks at you. That slight pause. That moment of assessment that lasts less than a second but feels much longer. You always thought he was judging you. He was not. He was reading you. And what he read was better than what you were showing him. That skill, the one that kept men alive in places you cannot explain to people who were not there, is still running. Right now, in every room. I am Robert, retired soldier, Staff Sergeant, 101st Airborne. And today I want to talk about the most underestimated thing 22 years of service built in you. Not the discipline, not the resilience, the thing nobody put on the list. The reading, the specific and permanent ability to understand what a person actually is in 4 seconds. That has been running in you since the first year of service. 2006, Mosul, Iraq. Robert receives 7 new men. He has 36 hours to know which ones will do what when the situation requires everything. Not the paperwork, not the file. What the man is when the paperwork is not in the room. He watches them eat. He watches how they move when they think nobody is watching. He watches who listens and who waits to speak. He watches who checks the exits when they walk into a new space. He watches who looks at the people and who looks at the door. He watches who laughs too quickly at a joke from someone above them. He watches who does not laugh at all. By hour 12, he knows. Not because he guessed, because what he built in those years does not guess. It knows. And when the situation came, every man performed exactly where his red placed them. Not close. Exactly. 2024, a neighborhood meeting. 14 adults. He sits down, and the reading is complete before anyone calls the meeting to order. Who was actually there to help the neighborhood? Who was there for another reason entirely? Who was going to derail the meeting before it started? His wife leaned over after 3 minutes. She said, "Robert, you are doing it again." He said, "Doing what?" She said, "Reading everyone in the room." He said, "I am just sitting here." She said, "Robert, you have not just sat anywhere since the day we met." And she was not wrong. Researchers have a name for what he does in those 4 seconds. They call it thin slicing. And who they found does it best surprised the entire field. Dr. Nalini Ambady at Stanford University spent 2 decades studying this. She wanted to know who can read a person accurately in seconds and why. She studied doctors, teachers, lawyers, business leaders, judges. She measured how accurately each group could read a person from very limited information. And then she studied one more group. And the results were not close. They were not even in the same conversation. Men and women who had spent years in environments where reading a person incorrectly cost someone their life. Her research found that the brain responds to years of high-pressure human assessment by building a system that runs permanently, below conscious thought, before conscious thought. Not a choice he makes, not a skill he activates. The brain responds to years of reading people under pressure by building a system that never asks permission. It just runs. The same way a musician's fingers find the notes before the conscious mind names them. His assessment runs before he decides to assess. Dr. Paul Ekman at the University of California spent 30 years studying what faces actually say beneath what they choose to show. He discovered that the human face makes involuntary movements, lasting less than 1/5 of a second, that reveal what a person actually feels, regardless of what they are trying to present. Most people cannot read these movements. Too fast, too small. They are gone before the conscious mind has time to register them. Dr. Ekman found that the people who could read them consistently and correctly were the same people Dr. Ambady found at the top of her chart. The man at the dinner party who keeps feeling that something is off is not being paranoid. He is picking up something real, something in the other person's face that lasted less than 1/5 of a second. He is not seeing too much. He is seeing exactly what is there. Everyone else in the room is simply missing it. And here is something the research found that nobody talks about. The accuracy gets better with age. The older this man gets, the better he reads people. 22 years of service did not just build the system. It refined it. Every year of reading people under pressure made it more accurate. At 53 years old, this man carries the most refined human assessment system of his entire life. And most people around him have no idea. The research also found something about what this specific skill costs the man who carries it. In civilian life, in the first years after service. 3 types. Not every soldier carries this skill into civilian life the same way. You have been at least 2 of them. The silent reader. He reads everyone, every room, every person, every time, and says absolutely nothing about what he sees. He knows the presenter is performing confidence. He knows the presenter does not have it. He files it, says nothing, because the room wants the comfortable version, not the accurate one. Not because he is indifferent, because he learned, one conversation at a time, that most civilian rooms cannot handle the accurate version. The reluctant advisor. He tells himself, stay out of it. Not my room. Not my problem. And then the situation proves his 4-minute-old read was exactly right. Not because he wants to be right. Because the situation needed the read he did 4 minutes ago, and he cannot withhold what the situation needs. His wife has a look she gets when this happens. She stopped being surprised in year 4. Now she just watches to see how long he holds out. The reluctant leader. He walks in with no plan to lead. Within 6 minutes, the room has organized itself around him. Not because he asked, because the situation required what he could see. He does not call himself a leader. He calls himself someone who noticed what needed doing and did it, which is the only definition that has ever mattered. Which one are you? The silent reader, the reluctant advisor, or the reluctant leader? Drop it in the comments right now. Here is the thing nobody names. The reading never stops. Not at dinner. Not at the school play. Not at 11 at night watching television. It runs. And for the first years of civilian life, that felt like being the only person awake in a room full of people who were sleeping. Because you are reading everyone accurately, and the man across from you is working hard to show you something that is not entirely true. And you already know that. And you said nothing. Because what do you say? How do you explain that you already know, in a world that does not know you know? Here is what 3 years in retirement taught me. That nobody gave me. That I had to find myself. Sitting at a kitchen table at 5 in the morning. The reading is not too much. The reading is not a burden. The reading is the most valuable thing the uniform built, and most civilian rooms are simply not sized for it. A Formula One engine built for a track that keeps being asked to drive through a school zone. Not broken, just built for a track that the school zone will never be. He sat in that forward operating base in Mosul in 2006. 7 men he had never met. 36 hours to know what they were made of. He was right about every single one. And he knew he was right before the situation confirmed it. The same system, the same accuracy, the same man, sitting in a neighborhood meeting in 2024, reading 14 people before the agenda is called to order. The reading is not a problem to manage. It is a capability to deploy. And the man who understands that difference lives the second chapter completely differently than the man who does not. First, stop apologizing for the reading. You do not have to announce what you see, but you do not have to pretend you do not see it. Both would cost you something real. Both things can be true. The room wants the comfortable version. The reading found the accurate one. You can hold both without giving either away. Second, find the room that is sized for what you carry. Not every room will be. Most will not be. But there is a room where a man who reads people in 4 seconds is not a curiosity. He is the most valuable person there. Find that room. Third, teach your children to read people, not to be suspicious of the world, to see it accurately. You were given this skill by 22 years of high-pressure experience. You can give it to your children before the pressure finds them. He watches his child begin to read a room at a family gathering. Something in him recognizes the moment exactly. The reading is still running. Right now, in this room. And the man who finally understands what it is stops managing it and starts using it. He sat in that forward operating base in 2006. He sat in that neighborhood meeting in 2024. The same eyes, the same system, the same man. The room changed. The stakes changed. The uniform came off. The reading did not change. And it did not go anywhere. There is a man in your life who has been sitting in civilian rooms for years, seeing everything, saying nothing, wondering why nobody ever thinks to ask what he sees. The most accurate person in every room he enters. And nobody has ever thought to ask what he sees. He earned this. Every year of service refined it. Every person read under pressure made it more accurate. And it belongs to him, completely. Share this right now with one man whose read of every room has been the most accurate and the least acknowledged. Not tomorrow. Right now. Because the reading is not a burden. It is the most valuable thing the uniform built in him. And it is time someone told him that what he carries is not too much. It is exactly the right amount. The world around him is just reading too little. The reading runs in 4 seconds. It always has. And the man who finally gives it somewhere worthy to go finds out it was a gift the entire time. He read 7 men in 36 hours in Mosul. He was right. He reads 14 people in 4 seconds at a neighborhood meeting. He is right. Same man. Same system. Same accuracy. The room changed. The reading did not. The uniform came off. The reading did not. It is still running. Right now. In this room. And the man who finally understands what that is stops calling it a burden, starts calling it what it actually is. The most valuable thing the uniform built. Drive on. Share this right now with one man who sees everything in every room he enters and has never once been asked what he sees. Not tomorrow. Right now. The reading is not a burden. It is the most valuable thing the uniform built in him. And it is time someone told him that. Drive on.